I got the idea to call him and see if he wanted to hang out for our birthdays, because his is just 5 days after mine. We went to dinner. He insisted on paying for the check and left like a really big tip. I come to find out that that was the day that after he had robbed the first bank.
I always knew about the robberies. I didn't know any of the details, though. I mean, my mom only told me so I wouldn't make any uncomfortable jokes around him.
He is my younger brother. He's 5 years younger than me. 5 years and 5 days.
She didn't really know any of the details, and she didn't tell me about the addiction. Not until I was in high school. My mom was away in college when he was in high school, so she didn't really know anything that my uncle was doing.
He had a good friend group. There was like 6 or 7 of them. He did well, you know. I don't think his grades were bad.
I would love for you to give me one word that you would describe yourself as a child.
Hungry. Yeah, that's already off the top of my head, but yeah, most of the time I was like, "What's for dinner? When are we gonna eat again?" Yeah, I don't know if that was what might have been an early indicator of a sort of an addictive personality. At the end of high school, I was pretty desperate, I'd say. You know, just like thinking that whatever the rest of my life was going to be was just kind of like fall on top of me any minute, and then that would be it. You know, all through high school, it was about getting fucked up. I never said no to anything. Yeah, to anything.
When I first found out, was the next really thing was heroin.
The first time I did heroin was in the car that I drove with the person who knew where to get it. I was driving with my knee. I snorted, not like dangerously too much, but too much for the first time. I pulled over and threw up, and I was like laying by the side of the road throwing up. And I was like, I've never felt this good in my life.
I did it one day, and then I did it every day after that until I was put in handcuffs.
This is called the Enclave, and this is where your grandmother and John first lived when they got married. And it's that one. It's 13.
You were living there?
Yeah.
For how long?
The whole time, yeah.
And you would like hit up a bank, head home?
Yeah, pretty much.
I had the idea that if I passed a note to a bank teller and told them I had a gun, that they would their training would allow them to just hand me over what would be more money than I would get. I tried to like stick up a convenience store or burgle somebody's home, or so that's what I did. I did it 5 times over about 6 months or so.
All of the robberies took place in Middlesex County, New Jersey in 1999, when Jimmy was only 21 years old.
3 of the banks are on Oak Tree Road. They're all on this road.
I went to the bank that was the bank I had a bank account at. The only bank I knew of, and yeah, and then I just wrote I have a gun, which I did not, and give me big bills on the back of a withdrawal slip, and I just slid it across the counter.
One of the newspapers said that there was by someone calling themselves Big Bill, and I was like, I never fucking said that.
That first one in particular, she wasn't sure if I had a gun. She was scared and upset, and it was real. She just took the money out of the drawer that was right in front of her and put it on the counter, and I just took it and ran out.
Like after I ran out of the bank and I was running back across here with like, I had like this $3,000 or whatever in my jacket pocket, my hand on it, and I was like, I was freaking out. I was like, I must have had like sweat rolling down my face. I looked sick, and out of that bagel shop, a cop with like one of those trays with like 2 cups of coffee and some everything like walked out. I almost like ran right over him.
Yeah, and then 30 seconds later, he must have got in the car and heard over the radio that the bank right next door to him had been robbed.
After the first one, I got on a train and went to Portland, Oregon, and stayed out there for about as long as it lasted me, and which wasn't long. Crack was a big thing in Portland, Oregon at the time, and that was has a way of eating through your $3,000.
It went on for longer and more times than I could have possibly imagined it would, Yeah, I did it 5 times before in banks where there had cameras, but they never got a decent picture of me,
After the first, Jimmy went on to rob 3 more banks in the surrounding area, armed only with a bank slip. Each totaled anywhere between $3,000 and $4,000.
Yeah, the last bank, that teller did not give me any money. I think she knew good and well that I didn't have a gun. The next day, there was a real crystal clear picture of me in the paper. My mother's phone started ringing.
After the security photo hit the papers, the police started showing up at the enclave. Jimmy knew that it was only a matter of time before he got caught.
I just turned myself in, and I just went to, honestly, I went right to jail. I thought it was weird. I was like, I have to go to, like, the police or something first. And he was like, no, you can just go, like, right to the county jail.
After pleading guilty, he was released to a pre-sentencing halfway house.
I was there for a little while, and then I ran. Got some fake IDs and had, like, a kind of what's obviously now like a total fantasy.
The one for me was Gil Restaino, who was somebody we went to high school with. My girlfriend picked me up from this halfway house, and she had him, and I was like, how the hell did you get Gil Restaino's driver's license? She's like, I don't know, that's just like the guy. She knew somebody at the DMV, and that's how we got them. But with like our pictures on them. It was a very not digital time.
But which is all made clear how just ridiculous it was, because like the first thing I did was get high.
I shoplifted from Home Depot in Phoenix, Arizona, and did heroin, like in a motel there.
Yeah, so that didn't last, and I just basically came home and turned myself in again. And then that was it. I was in that or another type of jail basically for the next 4 years or so. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't like, it's not like in the movies, I don't mean to minimize it. There's definitely people whose experiences of prison are a nightmare, but I was lucky, I guess. And everyone goes back to prison. There's a word, that recidivism, like that word doesn't mean anything except when you're talking about how many people go back to prison, And but I came home to a family.
My name's Kathy. I'm a high school math teacher. So Jimmy and I were in the same circle of friends in high school, and then we met again later in life, and we've been married now 17 years. Before that, I had an incident with a student who didn't want my nursery rhyme attempt at helping him learn the quadratic formula. This guy was like too cool for school, and he said, I'm not going to learn your nursery rhyme. Maybe if you sing it to Shine On You Crazy Diamonds. He wanted a Pink Floyd song. Turns out it works out perfectly to the song Time by Pink Floyd. So I tell Jimmy this story. It was just a little anecdote. And he picks up the guitar, starts playing the song, I sing him the quadratic formula. And after that, we didn't want to stop seeing each other.
And I still haven't done heroin again. That's the only thing I know is that if I did, it probably wouldn't end as well as it did last time. I'm working in funeral service. Like I've seen the difference. The families who are like, coming to us to bury their 40-year-old father or their 20-year-old son or daughter.
I'm driving home from work and I get a text message from Jimmy that says, I just picked up somebody that went to your high school. And he tells me the name. And I'm like, oh no, that's the kid that wanted the Pink Floyd quadratic formula. And this child overdosed. He ran us the whole funeral, worked with his family. A few years later, actually buried that child's sister for the same reasons.
Addiction is a disease, and it's not a character flaw. It's not a, the character flaws are real as well, and I can tell you all about them. I'm full of those, but addiction is a psychological disease that not everybody catches. Some people are just immune. Some people know how to eat. I don't want to make excuses. I hope it doesn't sound like I am. But never felt like I could stop. It wasn't a matter of if I wanted to or how I felt about the people I was hurting or the damage I was doing or the money I was stealing. None of that. Those were all real, but none of that was going to make the disease go away. It wasn't going to cure me. Just a lot of support and a lot of love and a lot of time to recover is what it takes.